All right, so get this. We're going deep on one of the biggest bank heists ever.
Seriously, it's incredible.
But, and here's the kicker, there weren't any, like, ski masks or getaway cars. It was all done by hackers.
Yeah, all digital.
$1 billion.
It's mind-boggling.
You heard that right, $1 billion stolen.
And the craziest part, they didn't just hit one bank.
Yeah.
We're talking over 100 banks.
Wow.
In 30 different countries.
That's insane.
That's what makes this group, the Carbonak cybercrime group, so fascinating.
We've got this this YouTube video that we're using as like a guide for this deep dive.
It's a good one.
It's from the channel Fern. It's called How Hackers Stole $1 Billion from Banks.
Definitely worth a watch.
So, question is, how did they pull it off?
Well, one clue that eventually helped unravel this whole thing was a seemingly random event in Taipei.
Okay.
Back in July 2016.
All right.
Picture this. 2 guys at an ATM.
Okay.
Just kind of hanging out, wearing those medical masks and hats, you know, the kind you see everywhere these days.
Yeah.
They're just standing there by the machine, and suddenly it starts spitting out cash.
Wait, hold on.
Like just glitching out.
Really? Just a random glitch?
That's what it seemed like.
No.
But that glitch was actually a tiny slip-up, one of the very few that Carbonak made in this whole elaborate scheme.
Interesting. So it wasn't a glitch at all?
Nope. Part of the plan.
Okay. So let's back up for a second.
Sure.
How did they even get into these bank systems in the first place? Like, banks have crazy security.
You'd think, right? I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
But the video uses this fictionalized example of a bank employee. They call him Maxim.
Okay.
He's in Ukraine, and he's basically patient zero for this whole attack.
Oh, so like the first one to get hit.
Yeah, that's him.
Gotcha.
So imagine you're Maxim, you're at your desk, just another day at the office.
Yeah.
You get an email, looks totally legit, maybe even from a coworker, you know? And it's about some urgent compliance issue with federal law.
Okay. Sounds important.
There's a Word doc attached. Wouldn't you open it?
I mean, yeah, probably. Especially if it seems that important.
Right. It's not suspicious at all.
Not at all.
And that's exactly what the Carbonak group was counting on.
Oh, I see.
That document, that innocent-looking Word doc, it had a hidden exploit.
What's an exploit?
Think of it like a secret backdoor into the bank's entire system.
So that email, that was like the key to the whole thing.
Yeah, it's more like a Trojan horse.
Okay, I get it.
Maxim clicks on it, thinks it's just routine stuff.
Right.
But he's just let the enemy right inside the wall.
Oh, that's crazy.
It is.
So now the hackers are in, like on Maxim's computer. But how does that let them control a whole bank's network? I don't get that part.
Well, that's where things get really interesting. That's where you see how patient and strategic these guys were. They didn't just barge in and start, you know, grabbing money.
Makes sense, I guess.
These guys were playing the long game.
What do you mean?
So first, they used malware to kind of slow down Maxim's computer.
Oh, sneaky.
Just enough to be annoying.
I hate when that happens.
Right. So, frustrated, Maxim calls IT for help, like anyone would.
Makes sense.
While the IT person is trying to fix things, the hackers install a keylogger.
A keylogger? What's that?
It's a program that secretly records every keystroke, everything Maxim types.
So they're stealing his password while IT's right there.
Pretty much.
That's crazy.
It's brilliant and scary effective. And with that password, they got access to what's called the domain controller.
What's that, like the main computer?
It's like the central brain of the whole network.
Oh, wow.
Control the brain, you control the whole body, so to speak.
And they did all this in, like, how long?
Oh, and here's the kicker. They didn't rush this process. They spent months just watching, observing the bank's procedures, figuring out how the money moved around.
Months. Wow, they were patient.
Yeah, they were in it for the long haul.
That's actually terrifying.
It is a little unsettling.
I mean, how do you even defend against something like that? You wouldn't even know it was happening.
That's what makes this case so fascinating. It wasn't about brute force. It was all meticulous planning, exploiting human nature, you know?
So it wasn't just about computers. It was about understanding people.
Exactly.
The video mentions that this cybersecurity firm, Kaspersky Lab.
They're the big guys, yeah.
Yeah. They got called in by a Ukrainian bank. The bank was seeing some weird stuff happening with their ATMs, kind of like that thing in Taipei we talked about.
Yeah, similar.
But things really got intense when Kaspersky got this frantic call from a Russian bank.
Oh, yeah, that was a wild one.
It was in the middle of the night, and the bank was freaking out because their domain controller, you know, the brain of the network, It was sending data to China.
Not a good sign.
Definitely not.
That's a major red flag. It's like your home security system is sending blueprints of your house to a bunch of burglars. And get this. A Kaspersky specialist was actually interacting with one of the hackers, like, live.
Wait.
Through a Word document.
Hold on. They were, like, chatting through Word.
It's as crazy as it sounds.
That's insane.
The hacker was so cocky, like just taunting the specialist, saying, "You'll never catch us."
That's so bold.
That's what sets Carbonak apart. That level of confidence, it's almost unnerving.
I bet that Kaspersky guy didn't sleep for a week after that.
Probably not.
But it was through stuff like this and piecing together clues from all these different incidents that Kaspersky started to figure out how Carbonak was actually stealing money.
It was a puzzle, a big one.
Right, because it wasn't just about ATMs spitting out cash.
No, it was much more than that.
There were other ways.
Oh yeah, they had a whole bag of tricks.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. Tell me more.
All right, so let's dive into that.
So we know they were sending data to China.
Yeah.
And manipulating ATMs.
Right.
What other tricks did they have? What else were they doing?
Oh, they had a whole playbook, a whole bunch of ways to siphon off money.
Really?
One method involved these things called transaction management accounts.
Transaction management accounts. I don't know what those are.
It's kind of a technical term.
Okay.
Basically, think of them like internal ledgers that banks use.
Yeah.
They track how the money moves around, you know?
Makes sense.
So Carbonak would hack into these accounts and transfer money to their own accounts.
So they were like robbing the bank from the inside.
Exactly. But here's the clever part, the part that makes it so hard to catch.
What's that?
They'd adjust the balances beforehand to make it look like everything was adding up.
So they were like cooking the books or something.
Exactly. It was a digital shell game, moving money around and making it vanish without a trace.
Well, that's what they thought anyway, right?
Right.
So, and there were the ATMs.
Yeah.
But how did they actually get the cash out? I mean, they couldn't just be standing there all day collecting it.
No, of course not.
They had, like, helpers or something?
You could say that.
Okay.
They used what are called money mules.
Money mules.
It's like they recruited people to do their dirty work. They often used the Moldovan mafia for this, actually.
Wow, really?
Carbonak would hack into the ATMs, scheduling them to dispense cash at specific times.
Like program it in, almost.
Exactly, and then they'd send their mules to go collect the money.
It's like having a network of remote-controlled cash machines.
Pretty much.
That's wild. That's like straight out of a movie.
It is pretty crazy when you think about it.
But you mentioned earlier that they had a third way, something even more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah, that was a doozy.
You said something about manipulating the bank's database.
That's right. This one targeted the heart of the whole banking system.
Okay.
The database where all the account info is stored. They'd start by setting up accounts for their money mules, but they'd give them a tiny balance, like $3.33.
$3.33. Why such a weird amount?
Probably to stay under the radar.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Avoid any alarms going off.
Right.
And then, once the accounts were set up,
Yeah.
they'd hack into the database and replace those tiny balances with millions.
Wait, hold on.
It's wild.
They could just, like, change the numbers, add a bunch of zeros.
Basically, yeah.
That's insane.
It's a bit mind-blowing how easy it seemed to be for them.
I mean,
Then their mules could just go to any ATM and withdraw the cash using their debit cards. Like, it was their own money.
it's like turning digital ones and zeros into actual cash, just like that.
Exactly. And get this. They actually accidentally made some regular bank customers millionaires in the process.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you think about it.
I bet those people weren't complaining.
Probably not.
So with all this happening,
Yeah.
it's got to be getting harder for these guys to stay hidden.
Right.
You'd think so, right? Kaspersky's on their tail. The banks are starting to notice things aren't right.
Right. Europol's getting involved, too.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of pressure.
It was. The net was closing in.
But the video said that even when they took down some of Carbonac's servers, they still managed to stay under the radar for a while.
They did for a while.
How is that even possible?
They were adaptable, incredibly so, and really, really good at what they did.
I guess so.
Always one step ahead, changing their tactics, using different servers. They were constantly evolving.
It's like they were always moving, impossible to pin down.
Exactly, like trying to hit a moving target.
But that incident in Taipei with the ATM,
Oh, yeah, that one.
that was a big break, right?
It was a turning point for sure.
Because the Taiwanese police were so fast.
We were on it.
They actually caught some of the money mules red-handed.
Yep. with the cash.
And that gave the investigators a ton of new information.
It was a gold mine?
They found pictures on the mule's phones, stacks of cash in different currencies, emails from the suspected mastermind.
Like a trail of breadcrumbs leading right to him.
Yeah, and that trail led to Spain. It did.
That's where they found Dennis K., right?
Living the high life, yeah.
So they raided his fancy villa.
They did.
Seized all his assets, all those fancy cars and stuff.
It was quite a haul.
So they got him, the mastermind's behind bars, that's it, right? Case closed.
Well, not exactly.
So we got the mastermind, right? Dennis K. is behind bars, but it's not really case closed, is it?
Not quite. It's not that simple.
Yeah, you mentioned something about, like, most of the money is still out there.
$1 billion is a lot to hide.
Yeah, $1 billion.
And it brings up a bigger question, I think, about who these hackers really are, you know?
Like, what makes someone become a cybercriminal?
Right. What makes them tick?
Yeah.
We often think of hackers as these lone wolves.
Like the guy in the hoodie in a dark basement, yeah.
Exactly, coding all night.
But Carbonak, they were different, right?
Oh, yeah, they were organized like a business.
You said they had specialists and even quality control.
It's crazy, I know.
It's kind of scary how much they mirrored like a real company. It's disturbing, honestly.
They had project managers, developers, testers.
The whole shebang.
Like a well-oiled machine.
And that's what makes fighting cybercrime so difficult.
Because it's not just one person, it's a whole network.
Global, with tons of resources.
So what drives these people? Like, why do they do it?
Well, obviously money plays a part.
Yeah, $1 billion is a pretty good motivator.
Right. Hard to argue with that.
But there's got to be more to it, right?
There often is.
Like what?
For some, it's the challenge, the
Yeah.
thrill of outsmarting these systems, proving they're smarter, you know.
So it's like a game to them.
In a way, yeah, like solving a puzzle.
That makes sense. But what about the ones who don't care about money or the challenge?
There's another category.
Yeah.
The ones driven by ideology.
What does that mean?
They see themselves as like digital Robin Hoods.
Stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, that Robin Hood.
Exactly. They might target governments or corporations they think are corrupt.
So they think they're doing good.
In their minds, they see themselves as the good guys.
So there are no good guys and bad guys.
It's not always so black and white.
And that makes it hard to know how to, stop them.
It does, because their motives are all over the place.
And we talked earlier about how hard it is to track them down.
Attribution, yeah, it's a huge problem.
Because they can hide online.
They can, and they do.
And if they think they'll never get caught,
yeah,
maybe that makes it easier to, justify what they're doing.
it's possible that anonymity might make them bolder.
It's like the Wild West out there.
In some ways, it is.
So what can we even do?
Well, it's got to be a multi-pronged approach, right?
What do you mean?
Law enforcement needs better tools to find these guys, hold them accountable.
Makes sense.
But we also need to understand why they do it,
Like their psychology, you mean?
Exactly. Figure out their motivations.
And then what?
Then we can come up with strategies to deter them, make cybercrime less attractive.
So it's not just about building better firewalls. It's about understanding the people trying to break through them.
Exactly. We have to remember that cybercrime isn't just a tech issue. It's a human problem.
So we need to study it like we would any other social problem.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Wow. This is a lot to think about.
It is definitely not a simple issue.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. Thanks for walking us through it.
Happy to do it. Always a fascinating topic.
And to everyone listening out there, stay safe, stay vigilant.
Absolutely. Stay informed.
Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
It really is.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.